I began doing this kind of things when I was 14, when I began to have the ideas of doing something different than what I was expected to do. And then I went to South America, which was by itself also very inspiring, visiting communities, and then the World Social Forum, which at the beginning of the year 2000, it was like the core, like the main place where all the utopies of the world, the old ones and the new ones, were gathering, and all the alternatives of the world, whose slogan was another world is possible, outro mundo possível in Portuguese. And that was also very inspiring. No, we met many people. I met many people and many new experiences. Then, well, with ayahuasca, Mayan calendar, the Amazon, the hippies in Brazil, many things, were helping me to get my path on that. Also, I became a Catalan independentist since I knew the Mapuche struggle in the south of Chile, the Indians in the south of Chile. Then I understood what is a nation, what are nations, and what are the states. And I understood that there are like 5,000 nations in the world and 200 states, which tend to destroy and eliminate these nations. No? So this is what they did in South America, and this is what they want to do with the Basque and the Catalans and the Galician people. And they tried it for 6 centuries, but they couldn't manage to finish the process of complete assimilation. Catalonia is a very resilient nation. No? If we are still here speaking Catalan, it's thanks to that resilience. No? My name was forbidden when I was born because it's a Catalan name. No? My grandmother was said, stop barking. No? When she spoke Catalan, it was forbidden to sing in Catalan for 3 centuries. No? It was forbidden to talk in telephone in Catalan. No? When the telephones arrived in Spain. No? So when I read in London precisely George Orwell's book, Homage to Catalonia, no? And me as a Catalan, no? It was double impact. No? And I really like it, and I understood that anarchism was somehow what, for me, it made sense. No, humans being free and equal at the same time, and since then it was a matter of knowing how to develop that and how to implement that. No, I began to see how could I implement all these things, and then I began to to do it in different projects around 10 to 20 different communities and projects. Since that time, we began the eco network of Montseny, which inspired other 20 networks all over Catalonia to do the same kind of model of this network. But then I went away to try to create something similar, but more in nature and more like, let's say, hippie, or more like anarcho-hippie or anarcho-independentist as well. I was here in La Garrocha, which is a fantastic region, full of history, full of nature, with volcanoes, with even more biodiversity. They said that in the whole United Kingdom altogether, this region here, no? La Garrocha, which is a pre-Pyrenees, Mediterranean, so it's many borders with many things in nature. And at the end here, try to put together all this knowledge and all these people that I met in my life, all the interesting things that I could gather from other people, other projects, together with my own creations, some ideas, and all together to make these projects. And also have this hippie happy zoo, like these goats that we can hear now, which are free goats and free donkeys almost, free animals, free dog also, as we are as well. It's an animalist farm as well, where for me at least, socialism or anarchism, it cannot have to do only with humans, but it has to do with all the species in the world, and with all the future generations. It has to be an intergenerational anarchism and an interspecies anarchism. If not, for me, it's not valid. What I always dreamed to be and to do here, and maybe it will come at some point, a kind of emancipatory school, or freedom school, or free school. And the idea here also is to make what I call, half joking, half serious, the hippie high school, which means a place to learn all that we need to make an eco-village, because it's all that we need to make a better world, from human relations to energy systems, sustainable energies, bioconstruction, food forests, relation with animals, conflict resolutions. Everything that we need to make a community is similar to what we need to make a better world.
Cet ardent laboratoire de lutte sociale, de rencontres culturelles, un lieu où il était encore possible de rêver, d'inventer une autre façon de vivre, poser la preuve que c'est possible, refuser de jouer le jeu de la pensée unique, du capitalisme mondial, tisser ces liens qui unissent. Liberté, de choisir de vivre hors des routes de la mélancolie, du mépris, du renoncement.
So at the ZAD we're really influenced by the idea that politics is about myth making, it's about storytelling. Fundamentally it's a bit like magic in the way that it's actually changing consciousness at will. You intensely focus on what you want and you manage through that intense focus to change the way people think about the world and the way people act. It's the same as art, it's the same as magic, it's the same as... And part of that involves myth-making, storytelling. And one of the things we wanted to do on the ZAD was that there was this imagery around the ZAD that it was very precarious. We weren't going to stay here. It was just a protest camp with cabins and tents and precarious people that were going to protest against this thing, but then the thing was ultimately going to win and they were going to move off and go somewhere else. And we were like, no, we're staying here and there's not going to be an airport. And one of the things we wanted to do was to change the imagery of the precariousness by saying we're going to build solid things that stay. And so one of those solid things was a lighthouse. Why a lighthouse? So the myth side is that we're inspired by mythological places, and one mythological place of course is Alexandria, where you have a kind of port, where you have all designed as a kind of, by Alexander, designed as this space where you'd have differences meeting through the port. You had magicians and scientists and sailors and so on, all meeting to create this kind of, create culture and experiment and stuff. And the ZAD is a bit like that. It's a place where lots of many people come and so on. And Alexandria had a lighthouse and it had a library. We don't want a control tower. We want a lighthouse. We want something that welcomes the people to the world, that shows them the dangers of capitalism, and that is also a symbol of hope. And it's a working lighthouse. It turns. It had a siren. We used to put it on for the assemblies, but I'm a bit lazy as a lighthouse keeper, so I forget these days. And actually the bulb's just blown. But anyway, it's a ZAD lighthouse. What was extraordinary about the ZAD was that it was always this place where we thought that to resist was also to build. So there was, resistance, putting your bodies in the way when they came to try and evict to build the airport, but there's also constantly building and trying to create a new world through that building. So for us, we often call that the kind of DNA of revolution, the kind of yes and the no. So you say, no, we don't want an airport, but yes, we want a world where everything is in common, where we relate to ourselves, between ourselves and other species, as subject to subject, not subject to object. And so that building, that sense of trying to create a kind of commune, a large-scale commune, was really key to the struggle. And so we made these sigils, which are like these magic symbols for a desire. And the desire is that the government doesn't bring their hammers into the forest, because the government wants to take back control of the forest, and we're trying to run the forest as a commons. And so we did this ritual which involved the beating of the bounds, where we beat the bounds with sticks, put these in, spat a load of wine at them, and had these kind of masked characters walking around the forest, and it was a way of protecting the forest from the hammers of the state. The big famous ritual, of course, was when we put the sticks in the ground, and that was a kind of ritual disguised as a demonstration. And rituals are, for us, really important because they remind you what's important, what is sacred in a sense, but not something sacred that you bow down to, but something sacred because it means a lot to you. and rituals also are very good for linking people, linking the community, and we've seen that as well. So let's hope that they never bring their hammers in. Here, disobedience worked. People put their bodies against the machines, they put their lives against these machines, and they tried to live a different way as an act of resistance against the building of an airport. And the international airport was cancelled. That's a victory. That's a huge victory. They wanted to build this airport for 50 years. So it's also a space, I think, that can inspire other spaces. And it's interesting, when you go to other communities, much smaller communities, whatever, sometimes you realize how this experience here, the stories of this place, created the kind of inspiration that they needed to do their thing. So it's also not just models, it's also stories and energy and myths and things like that emanate from this land, and give people hope that to continue to resist and continue to build a post-capitalist world. And so it's one of those victories which is invisible. It's a victory because there is no airport, and it's a zone which we are trying to run not only as a commons but as alternatives to a society that puts money in front of life. The zone, becomes a place where lots of people who are escaping the world, homeless people with drug addictions or alcohol problems or mental health issues, would often, gravitate to somewhere like this because it's a free place where they're not going to be judged in the way that, they're judged in the city and so on.
This was the idea that everyday life should be a beautiful thing in a revolutionary society, and that should be the communal luxury. That luxury wasn't just for the rich, but luxury was for everyone, and that beauty could take any form in everyday life. It could be the way you dress, or the way you have a meal, or the way you design your house, or the way you make friends, or it's this idea of a luxury that's shared. That was the miracles. The beauty of the word miracle is that comes from the Sanskrit, and it means something that makes you smile. So it's not anything mystic, it's just a miracle is simply something that makes you smile. And then we realised there's lots of miracles on the ZAD, and that's partly because of the intensity of relationships that are made and the cultural resistance that's around the ZAD. So many different people believe in this place and give it solidarity and calm and help, and who don't live here, and that creates these incredible moments where exactly the right thing that you need arrives in your hand, and then the other miracle, of course, is that we won against the airport. That was a pretty good miracle.